welcome to Viewpoint, your program of personalities, politicians, and perspectives. I'd like to bring in the politicians, but I'm afraid the air would get blue, so we'll just eliminate them this morning, and we'll just talk about personalities and perspectives. We have two great ones here this morning. I'm very happy to have these young ladies with us this morning. Angie, you'll remember that we always try to start Viewpoint with a kudo or two or something, and it just seemed appropriate, although we gave a kudo to the bell ringers, the Salvation Army folks last week. It wouldn't hurt to give them another kudo. Now it's starting to get cold, and they're going to stand out there and tinkle those little bells and stamp their feet and hope that somebody will be generous as they go by them. That's a very, very, very worthwhile cause, and I'm sure that Tony Schuff could probably use another bell ringer too. And if you'd like to spend some valuable time, I would suggest that somebody who has a little time would call the Salvation Army and give them your name. He'd be tickled to death to have a little extra help up there.
Could I add a postscript?
Well, I don't know. Let's talk about it with Jim. See
just a short word.
Okay.
You know, even if you don't have any change on you right now, for Pete's sake, don't turn the other way and not recognize the fact that they're human beings standing there in the cold, because that's so disheartening when you're standing out there with frozen fingers and people never saw you before in their life.
Yeah, having been a bell ringer, I know what that is. If people go, "Oh, I don't know him," and
never saw
act like they're embarrassed to go by me without putting a buck in the or a quarter in the pot. Well, anyway. Kudos to those folks. It's a needed volunteer work, and so thank you.
And you know that the money that you give goes for good. The upkeep and administration is very low.
Yeah, it's minimal compared to some of the charities, and that's another story. Let's get right down to serious business. Mrs. Busby, you are the interlocutor, so you will introduce. What does interlocutor mean?
Well, that's when you're between two locked doors.
I didn't think she'd come up with one, but she did. She never fails to surprise me. Go on. Let's introduce our guest this morning.
Yes.
Great young ladies.
We have two smart young people from Abraham Lincoln Memorial Hospital. Angie Stoltzenburg is...
Who's a favorite of mine, I might tell you. Everybody out there in the air, both of you are listening this morning.
All two of you. Angie is the director of the Community Health Collaborative, and we're going to discuss that. That's kind of a new term, I'm sure, for lots of people. And with her is Roxanne Harling. She's the director of nursing. Now, that we can understand.
There's a topic I can understand. The other title for Angie, I didn't know you were that smart when you worked with me.
Well, she probably got smart after she left you.
Well, that would be the case, I should imagine.
Yeah.
That's very impressive.
I hope I've learned something since then. It's been a while.
That's very impressive. That's a long... What did it say?
What, the title?
Yeah, what did it say?
The Community Health Collaborative?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
That you're a collaborator.
Yeah. Yeah.
God, we shaved the heads of some of those people over there in Europe.
Oh, heck. Well, Roxanne is going to talk about swing beds. Now, there's another new term for lots of people. When someone uses that term, people look at them like, what?
I know.
And they don't know what you're doing up there at Abraham Lincoln Memorial Hospital.
They really do think it's a special new bed, hammock type bed that we must have that does something they've never heard of.
Excuse me, Mabel needs out.
We have Judy's other job is to take care of it.
They hired me so that I'd keep Mabel
She's
free
the person.
at last. Good grief.
Handicapped she is.
So, girls, let's define collaborative. With whom do you collaborate, and about what do you collaborate?
It's the Abraham Lincoln Memorial Hospital Community Health Collaborative is the new evolved version of what was Healthy Communities Partnership.
Yes.
So Healthy Communities Partnership was established back in '96, which wasn't too long after I was working with Mr. Gossett, actually.
Wow.
It's been a while. And the Chamber started it, and it was a collaboration at the time between the health department, the hospital, and the Chamber to work on quality of health or quality of life issues, health issues for Logan County, which is really something that was ahead of its time because we are way ahead of the game because we've been at it since 1996. So it kind of evolved then to what became the Hope Mobile, the Corn Bus,
Yes,
then the
yes.
Hope Mobile. They worked on a variety of things. They had task forces for a lot of different things, but everybody knows it best, I think, because that Hope Mobile and the Corn Bus was visible. But as the years have kind of gone on, it's just become the manager of the program has always been employed by Abraham Lincoln Memorial Hospital. The majority of the work being done was funded by Abraham Lincoln Memorial Hospital. And so we've decided in recent months here to change from the Healthy Communities Partnership, which people couldn't really connect who did that belong to, who was doing that program. It kind of felt ambiguous, I think, to people, to the Abraham Lincoln Memorial Hospital Community Health Collaborative. So it was obvious to people that this was a local movement. I'm the director of that, and so again, I'm employed by the hospital, and we are funded by the Abraham Lincoln Memorial Hospital Foundation. So we still do a variety of things for the community, and we can get into all those projects later, but we do a variety of things that address the significant health needs of Logan County. We do a community health needs assessment every 3 years to determine what those significant needs are, and then come up with a plan to address those. And we collaborate with anyone who's willing to come to the table. I mean, any private citizen is welcome to join us. We meet quarterly, but then we create task forces to address specific things, like we have an opioid task force.
I bet that's a big one for you now, isn't it?
Absolutely. And those different issues are going to change depending on what's going on in the community. But we have efforts to address obesity, and so we have the CATCH program in the schools, Coordinated Approach to Child Health, and that's an example of we're collaborating with the schools, but they don't necessarily always come to our collaboration meetings. So we collaborate with anyone who will work with us. So if anyone's interested in any of the health issues, then we want them to come to the table. We have a network of folks that spans, of course, we have the health department there, and we have health, like Springfield Clinic and Memorial Physician Services, Memorial Behavioral Health. Those folks are all invited, and they attend. Department of Child and Family Services. There's so many. It's hard for me to off the top of my head. The police department.
I knew DCFS was involved.
Yes, absolutely. So we just bring all we bring all those people together, and we talk about what we have going on a quarterly basis, and we leverage each other's resources and try to help each other out, promote each other's activities that we have going on. But again, really coming as the collaborative, when we create those task forces, we really come around those significant health needs and say, okay, obesity is an issue in Logan County, and that's the root cause of cancer. That's a problem in Logan County. Diabetes, that's a cause of, that's a problem in Logan County. So what are we going to do about obesity? And we grab those people or anybody who's willing to work with us on that, determine what are some evidence-based strategies to address that, something that's been done in another community that we know actually works, that we know we want to put our resources towards, and then we implement that strategy.
Were we not number one in obesity?
We were.
But we got bumped.
You can go past tense now?
We got bumped to 2.
Really?
Yes.
We got bumped to 2.
That's still terrible.
Was that
Oh my
to
gosh,
our
out of
credit or to
102
someone
counties,
else's
we were.
detriment?
Let me ask
It's
a
someone
question.
else's detriment. They just got a little fatter faster than we did.
I don't think it's a stupid question. It's a naive question. Obesity. Can that be under that broad mantle of addiction, such as an opioid addiction? Some people just simply can't refrain. Tell me where I am with my paintbrush.
Well, I'm sure on the continuum, that's a portion of it. But I think the bigger issue is that it's the culture that we're living in. You know, we have really large portion sizes. When we go out to eat, we're eating out more. We're not moving as much as we used to. We drive everywhere. People's lives are busy and they don't necessarily take the time for exercise. They don't cook at home, so they don't have fresh foods, which is why we did the farmers market. We're trying to increase access to fresh
which is a great
produce.
That was well attended, wasn't it?
Oh, it's amazing. Over the past 2 years, so we finished our second season September 30th, and then we had, of course, a fall festival in October and a holiday market in November. But just between the first season and the second season, we had 25,000 visits
Is that right?
to the farmers market. And I can't...
That's fun. It's a fun thing to do.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, the social aspect of it, I don't think any of us were expecting. We were really hoping just to increase access to fresh local produce and increase consumption of produce. But what we didn't see is that it really has created a social opportunity for people every Saturday, which is another great and important thing for our community.
Go out to the fairground and see all your cousins.
Yeah, it's true. There's a lot of people meeting there.
It is fun. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So that some of the vendors come from quite a ways away
Yeah, some of them
geographically.
do. They all have to be Illinois. They have to be local. So we consider local Illinois, but we have a couple that are coming more, 2 hours every Saturday to our market. So, and we're really proud of it because it isn't just a farmer's market with the food, but it's also that wellness destination. We have free health screenings, our Know Your Numbers campaign that's there. We have the POP Club, the Power of Produce Club for the kids that are 5 to 12, so they can learn more about fruits and vegetables and have talk to the farmers and understand the food, where their food comes from. So many kids today don't know what an actual peach looks like. They only know the cut up version that comes in the plastic cup.
That's right.
So, we're trying to make sure they have a connection with their food as well.
You mentioned, too, that one of your fellow collaborators is kind of new, as I understand it, and that's the one that addresses emotional, mental health.
Yeah, we have actually one of our priority health needs from this last implementation, we call it the implementation strategy when we come up with what we're doing, was mental health. So it's great that that's finally getting the attention that it deserves, and the stigma, I think, is starting slowly to come away from getting help for a mental health issue. We have a mental health first aid program that we've been providing at the hospital, and we still have some trainings available for folks. That's less than $15 to attend, and it's kind of like a first aid, like a CPR kind of a training where you're there. It's an 8-hour day, but you really learn how to recognize signs and symptoms of someone who's maybe dealing with a mental health crisis and how to properly help them in that moment and get them referred to where they need to go.
Is there an age limit on that? Is there an age limit
Absolutely
on that?
not.
I want to make sure. Well, Roxanne's sitting here wondering what's going on. She's not just another pretty face. She's a graduate of Methodist School of
Mennonite.
Mennonite, thank you very much.
In Bloomington.
Out there. I get confused once in a while.
That's all right.
More often than not. Tell us, you're now the director of nursing here at Memorial.
That's correct.
And how many nurses do you supervise, full-time and part-time? Now, because you have a lot of staff that you can call in on a part-time basis. Am I correct in that?
You're correct. We have about 80 nurses on staff at the hospital.
Well, prison and hospital are 24/7.
Yes,
it
they are.
It takes a lot of people to cover 3 shifts a day.
It does. It does.
365 days a year.
And we have, certain areas at the hospital, so most of them have specialties, but some of them float around and help us as needed. So the ER, the OB, acute care, surgery, cardiac rehab. So we have lots of available services that our nurses work in.
How were we lucky enough to come by your services? How did we attract you here to Lincoln?
Well, to be honest, I am a small town girl, and through my former employment, I came to Lincoln to do a clinic once a week. And when my patients were in the hospital, I would visit them, and I just fell in love with the hospital. So everything happens for a reason. Mm-hmm. The director of nursing was retiring, and I knew her. We had worked together years ago, and she mentioned it to me, and I was like, hey, that's the job for me. I want to work in Lincoln with the staff there because they're so amazing. So
yeah, we have a pretty dedicated group.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we
really good hospital, very good quality, excellent staff, so engaged, and just from the community, love their community like Angie, and I think, that shows in the care that they give. It really does. I've found that.
Why don't you give us a thumbnail sketch of the swing bed? Because I don't want to mislead either one
don't
of
get
our
excited
listeners.
out there, folks. She said swing, not swinger.
Yeah, no, it's not that, and it's not a hammock bed. A swing bed is really a designation that was given by Medicare to small rural hospitals so that they can use their beds in whatever way is most beneficial to them. So hospitals are licensed to have acute care beds for patients who are very sick, but in small rural communities, they recognize that sometimes patients need care beyond the hospital, sort of skilled nursing, long-term care type things. And so they said that small hospitals could use their beds either way. So that's where the term came in. At Abraham Lincoln Memorial Hospital, as well as other small rural hospitals, you could either be in an acute care bed or in a bed that swings. So if you're recovering from your acute illness and you need some ongoing therapy to get a little bit stronger to go home, you need to finish some IV antibiotics or get some education. Let's say you're a new diabetic and you don't yet know how to prepare your meals, give yourself your injections, monitor your blood sugars. You can stay in the swing bed and be taught all of those things. And at the same time, you're still at the hospital, so if you need labs or x-rays or anything like that, you're right there. It's very handy. You can just go down the hallway and get the care that you need. The other thing is you don't have to be at Abraham Lincoln Hospital. You can be in Springfield or Bloomington or Peoria. Sometimes we recognize that the small hospitals can't do everything. So sometimes patients go to larger facilities in other communities, but you can come home and you can be cared for at the hospital because we know it's difficult for families to travel, to visit people, and yet you still need some continued care. So you can come back to a swing bed and get that care right in your community.
So point of question here, if I were in the hospital and had some need for some services which we cannot provide for in Lincoln, perhaps an ambulance trip or a family to take you to a larger facility, and then you come back to our hospital. Am I correct in that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. And you could be a patient at ALMH, and then when it's time to step down the kind of care you have or change it into this swing bed category, then you can stay in your room and get that swing bed
you don't
service
even
in
go
the same
to a special
place.
swinging
You don't
bed.
even go to a special bed, or you go from Memorial Medical Center, for example, and then come to ALMH instead of going home.
Well, we're going to swing right now. We're going to swing right over to our commercials because they pay the freight up here. And
There you go.
And if we don't acknowledge them, we ain't going to have a job. Right ahead, Jim. Right back live in the studios here at WLCN. The program is Viewpoint, as it always is each Wednesday morning, 8:15 to 9 o'clock. We have a veteran guest. As a matter of fact, if you go see HR, we see if we can get you on the payroll. HR. Human Resources. In my good old days, it was just a personnel director, but that's all gone now. Angie Stoltzenburg. Angie Churchill Stoltzenburg,
Yep.
the pride and joy of Stuart and Linda, and Roxanne
My
Harling.
sister might have something to say about that.
Roxanne Harling, she of the Harley-Davidson clan, Director of Nurses at Abraham Lincoln Memorial Hospital. Two delightful ladies, two very knowledgeable ladies who are trying to give us a little info on what's going on out there in the west side of town on that wonderful medical complex we have out there. So I'm going to pass the baton to you because I know you're chomping to ask questions. You're always nudging me, let me in. So go right ahead, Mrs. Busby.
I'd like to get back, if we could, for a moment to your new counterpart with the mental health help. I think that that's so important because it addresses so many different kinds of issues. I think we'd have far fewer people in the prisons if we could address those issues for them.
Well, one, I agree. I mean, I think that a lot of things stem from that. People can have a better quality of life if they would give themselves an opportunity to address those things. And I think early screenings and early identification of risk factors for mental health issues later on is really important. And one of the great things that the collaborative, the Abraham Lincoln Memorial Hospital Community Health Collaborative has done, funded by the Abraham Lincoln Memorial Hospital Foundation.
Geez, you ought to come up with some acronyms,
I feel like if I use too many of them, nobody will have a clue what I'm talking about. But one of the things that we've done recently is worked with Memorial Behavioral Health for a grant in the junior high in Lincoln. And it's something that we're hoping to expand. But what we do is Memorial Behavioral Health has employed a behavioral health consultant who is embedded, who works at that school, at the Lincoln Junior High School.
Really?
And they screen every single kid at the high school and identify those youth that may be at risk for mental health issues.
As the time goes by.
Exactly. And so what they do is, of course, with the permission of the parent, that behavioral health consultant provides on-site counseling to those kids right there at school. So they just leave their class for a little bit and walk down the hall and have access to those services, which is really important. I mean, depending on the insurance that the child has, sometimes they wouldn't be able to see anybody locally. And then that's a burden and another barrier to get that child the help that they might need or the support that they might need. And so it may never happen, but to be able to do it during the school day, you don't have to get a ride there, you don't have to take time to get there, get back, you're not missing even more school. And that we've already shown, and this is based on a program that started in Sangamon County, so we've just now brought it to Logan County last year. But I think we've already shown that there's some really good outcomes for making that happen for those kids.
Surely catching it at an earlier age would be more helpful.
Absolutely.
Before you get too far down the path with bad behaviors.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, there's always people who kind of, I don't know how this is going to go over. And we had a little bit of pushback about, they're missing school, or is this worth it? Or, because my Lord, teachers have so many things they need to get through in a school day, and so many requirements and expectations on them. But I don't think it took long to notice, sometimes in the course of maybe just 3 or 4 sessions with the child, how the behavior changed in the classroom, how their ability to focus on their work changed. And then some people are going to have a longer.
13 years old and your head is so full of trouble, how in the world are you going to concentrate on your English?
Yeah, absolutely.
It just seems so much more complicated today. 80 years ago, people in that category kind of just fell through the cracks, so to speak. That's just the way it was.
Yeah.
As a consequence now, today, with new approaches, new science, new thinking, you're going to rescue somebody.
When I used to come here for community action. It was all about talking about just giving people who are in poverty or in low income an opportunity. You have to have that opportunity, that door open for people. So when they're ready to step through it, they have an opportunity, a chance to do that and to make a change or, get access to support and services. I look at it the same way now that I'm in health care, that you have to give those kids an opportunity to get that help that they need and find that support that maybe they aren't getting the support at home. Maybe the parents are they've used every tool in their toolbox and they don't know what else to do. And the parents need the support to help do what's best for the child. The child needs those opportunities. The parents need those opportunities. And then it translates all the way into the other things that we're doing with the Community Health Collaborative. We need to give people opportunities for safe physical activity. We're working on the trail. We have the new ALMH wellness trail on the hospital's campus.
By the way, just as a side, I see some people do you notice you're out there? Excuse me, please. I'm sorry. Are there quite a few people beginning to use that now?
I notice, and I get so excited every single time because I just feel like they're little billboards for the rest of us to say, look what I'm doing.
Wonderful.
I'm out here. I'm active. You should get out here and be active too. I love it. I love it. That's one of the visions I had for that was that you'd have people with their dogs and pushing their babies and running and we do have that happening. I have a little tracker out there, and it's not a perfectly accurate scientific tracker, but I feel like it does the job. So it's about 0.88 miles if you do the loop of the trail. And on the far bridge, so if you get to that, I know that you walked the whole, at least the front part of it. You did the loop. I have a little deer tracker.
Oh.
So it's a motion sensor, and it tracks how many people are walking by. And I suppose you could have a kid run back and forth on the bridge a few times, but it's also on the other side of it. It stops at 500. So once it hits 500, I miss all those people. So I figure it comes out in the wash, and that my numbers are pretty accurate. And I started in June, really keeping the best I could of a spreadsheet of that. And we're over 5,000 miles walked.
Is that
And
right?
how many deer?
The deer might have walked some of those miles. I don't have a camera to verify.
But they need to be healthy too.
But they need to be healthy too. And I feel strongly that if two people walk by together, it'll only count as one. So I really do feel like I can at least be comfortable with 5,000 miles.
Yeah.
I admire so much
You
a
wanna stop by
mind
there
like
this morning?
yours who comes up with something like a deer tracker.
Well,
By George, I gotta hand it to you.
I want to
Kim.
know
Well, she learned that when she
it was
worked for
being
me.
used.
Yes, right.
That's smarts.
I know you're a big deer tracker.
Roxanne, as director of nursing, what would you say would be your biggest challenge in today's times?
Oh, gosh.
Boy, there's a tough one.
That is a tough one.
Because there are a lot of challenges.
There are. I think to educate and empower people, all of us, including the people in healthcare, to be healthy. So much is coming out about wellness and how healthcare costs are rising, and we can change that if we take care of ourselves, if we eat the right foods, if we exercise, if we stay mentally well, or do the tough work to improve our resiliency. I think we can change the world if, really.
Staying mentally sharp is a challenge for those of us who are looking down the hill. We've gone over that hill. Now we're looking down, and some of us are getting to the finish line pretty quickly. Keeping a mental attitude is very, very important, and this comes under what Angie's doing here in this collaborative efforts and healthcare in general. How do you find any specific targets that you can work towards to keep people's attitudes, which is a big thing, right? Attitude is a big thing.
I think attitude's a big thing. It's, how sometimes people just literally lay down and die. They just give up. And so you've got to keep that attitude. And I think part of keeping that attitude is keeping going, keeping interacting with people, keeping doing things that you enjoy, getting out of your house, which can lead, help your physical activity methods. And it's really hard when it's cold and nasty out to do that. But
yeah, we're not motivated to go out.
It's a simple thing. So a few years ago, my mom fell and broke her hip, and it was really difficult for her to get out. It was in the middle of the winter, and so we just made a goal that every hour she would get up and walk to her front door and back 6 times, and she did that for a week, and then, so the next week, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to push you. Let's do 12, and she would keep her little notepad, and, so all of that kept her active, helped in her recovery, helped her, positive mental thoughts. So just sometimes it's simple things. Sometimes we get overwhelmed thinking, oh my gosh, I've got to do this, this, and this. I've got to go, exercise 5 days a week for, 30 minutes a day. But you can make it simple to take care of yourself and to help your family take care of themselves.
Exercise isn't necessarily going to the rec, which is a wonderful place to go, by the way. Excellent place. But people can exercise at home.
Absolutely. You can sit in your chair and do your leg lifts. I mean, anything to,
which may seem part of the passive, but it's still an exercise.
It's getting your blood pumping. It's raising your heart rate a little bit. It's fine. It's something. It's better than nothing.
Yeah.
One of the things that we've really focused on in the collaborative is we have 4 objectives. One is improving access to health care, but truly health care and the quality of health care only makes up 10%. If you look at a pie chart, it only makes up 10% of 20% of how healthy you are. It only has of the things that impact your health. Healthcare is only 20% of those things. 40% is healthy behaviors, and it's not just about eating right and being active, which is super duper important, but it's also, are you excessively drinking alcohol? Are you smoking? All those other, there's lots of choices you make every single day that impact those health behaviors that definitely make an impact on your health as well.
You people are just a tad younger than we are, and
you mentioned that.
In the olden days, really, we all smoked. We all did. I know, but you're poor.
And look who's still here, right? I mean, there's probably a lot of factors that go into the fact that you've had the great long life you've had.
It truly. I'm lucky because I never used nicotine.
Yeah.
I don't think, even when I was in the military, quick aside there, we could buy a pack of a week. I forgot now a carton. And my mother and father both smoked, and I didn't. And I'd save 2 or 3 cartons and then send it to thinking I was doing them a great favor.
Yeah.
Well, of course, that was pretty naive thinking in those times. But that's what we all did.
But I don't think when they started selling cigarettes, they said, oh, by the way, you might get cancer. That came out later. That information came out later, so you didn't
that's
know.
a challenge to you, though. That same challenge goes on, I'm sure, every day. We find new things, thank God, and then you have to incorporate that. And you talk about these things like having available health care. You can lead the horse to water, but you can't make him drink. They have to decide that they want to take advantage of it and stick to it.
Well, and make the lifestyle, the health care is the one thing.
Yes.
But then making the lifestyle changes to address. To truly address what the issue is, not just expecting
from
a pill.
the people that you interact with, your patients and the other people in your collaborative.
Now, Roxanne, does the ER department fall under your guys as far as staffing it is concerned with nurses?
Yes, it does. Yes.
Is that a more difficult, since it's 24/7, staffing that? Is that kind of a problem or not?
Well, actually, no. We don't currently have any openings in the ER.
Really?
I think that nurses overall have a desire to help people. And then once you decide that you're going to be a nurse, sometimes you find your niche. And people that work in the ER, that's their niche. You know what I mean?
And thank God for them,
God.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, amen for
Yes.
that. Yeah,
God
really.
bless them, because I could certainly
Yes.
not do it.
Yeah, it's very active, very fast-paced. The patients come and go, so
Some of them go.
they gotta be on their toes.
Yeah, 3 o'clock in the
So-
morning. They may have been laid down for a nap, and then all of a sudden the bell rings and they're up and at it.
Yeah, I don't think at our hospital they ever get to lay
They
down
don't
for
get
a
a
nap.
nap.
It's
Really?
pretty consistent.
Uh-huh.
And we're just glad to be there for the community and for the Logan County and
I could
and
be
to help
wrong,
people.
Roxanne, but I think the ER, do we get about 19,000 visits
Yes.
a year?
Oh, I'm sure.
19,000.
It's
19,000 visitors a year in the ER department?
Yes, it's very busy.
That's amazing.
No naps.
And this is
Remember-
just Lincoln, Illinois.
Yes.
Or Logan
well,
County,
Logan
I should
County
say.
and some Eastern Mason.
Remember last year at the beginning of winter, we had 2 ice storms. And I, along with half of Logan County, were in the ER.
With a fall.
Oh,
Or
sure.
an ER or a
Oh,
accident.
sure. Yes. Oh,
Well, she's
my-
older now, and she's not
Yeah.
as steady as she was.
On that ice, it doesn't matter how steady you
gonna say, I
are.
think I
But by
crawled down
golly,
my
they
driveway.
kept all the balls in the air.
Yes.
They really did. It was amazing. There was no rushing around and
No, they're very-
frenetic activity. They just went about their business.
It's a measured,
Well done.
fast pace. Measured, not frenetic.
Right.
And there's the answer. I mean, just-
Continuous running, I guess. if you will.
Got to have good shoes.
a young lady who aspires to a nursing career, where would she start, Roxanne?
Well, you want to start in high school.
Or a man, for that matter.
Yeah,
Yes,
right.
I want to be gender conscious
We
here.
do have some men who are nurses at our hospital.
Wonderful nurses.
Yes. You want to start in high school thinking about, classes in the sciences. You need some math. You need some, writing skills and communication skills. And then start looking at colleges. We happen to have a wonderful scholarship program through the hospital. And, we will help these young people if anybody is out there interested in, going
Glad you
into.
mentioned that. That's due April, the first Friday in April, our applications are due, and the new one's not quite on the website yet, but it will be. We give up to $20,000 a year
Wow.
Scholarship
to one
money
person.
available.
I mean, to
That's
each.
significant.
To each,
That's great.
yes.
You have to go through an application and an interview process, and then we sort of follow them through their education, and then when they're done, they come back to work for us at the hospital, and, sort of to repay that debt in a way. They just give us a certain number of years based upon how much money they get, but they always have a job to come home to, and, we're happy to have them and happy to help them.
As Groucho Marx used to say in his TV program, he said the secret words there, they have a job to come home to. In the nursing profession, the medical profession, generally speaking, if you've gone through nursing training, you're not going to want for a job.
That's true. That's true. But it may not be in the area or in the, in the
Health related, though.
city that you want to be. Yes,
Yeah.
that is true. You are going to have a job.
Now,
Unfortunately, maybe if we get some more healthy behaviors, I always say, put me out of work.
Yeah.
If we were all healthy, you could put me out of work. I'd be happy.
how long does it take a young person to go through nursing school today?
Well, you can go to a 2-year, a 3-year, or a 4-year program. So that just depends, what your interests are and where you would, want to go to
You
school.
want to
So
specialize in some particular phase of nursing care?
we've got some excellent nursing schools around us. In, in Springfield, we have St. John's. In Decatur, we've got Milliken. Bloomington has ISU with Mennonite. Richland has a nursing program. There's nursing programs in Peoria, at Bradley, and I think Methodist too. So there's all kinds of programs around, very close, very local. You can go. We'd be happy to give you a scholarship, and then you come back and work with us.
Also, you can get preparatory training at Lincoln College. You'll get that gig
Yes.
in there, right there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I'll put a plug in while we're talking about healthcare careers on at our Wellness Expo that's going to be coming up in February. February. We do that every year out at the Park District. On February 17th, I know I'm giving people lots of advance notice here, but Saturday, February 17th, 9 to 1, one of the new things we're doing at the expo this year is having an area specific to healthcare careers. So we'll be out there talking about, like Harling will be there, Lincoln College will be there, some other folks will be there, and we'll be there with our Abraham Lincoln Memorial Hospital Healthcare Career Scholarship from the foundation as well. So any parents, or the kids better be in school, but if there's any parents of teenagers out there, now's the time to start angling to get them to go to that and get some information.
When you were in nursing training, is there any particular episodes that may come back that may be humorous or not so humorous, as the case may be?
Oh, boy. I don't know.
But you can tell on air that is.
What? It's
Remember
been a while.
HIPAA.
And if she remembers one, she certainly can't use names or incriminating information or even breaking the HIPAA.
I just had a great time. I went to Mennonite, as we said earlier, and I absolutely loved my education. I felt like I came out of school very prepared to be a nurse on the front lines. I just got an excellent education overall. So,
And a title that is tougher to come by, but certainly one to be respected a great deal, is just below the MD, the nurse practitioner. And that has become a very important part of our medical society throughout the country.
Yes, it has. As
And
there's
there's
fewer and
young-
fewer physicians, especially in rural areas. We
Yes.
depend more on our nurse practitioners. So that is true.
One other department at ALMH I'd like to mention that kind of dovetails a bit with your swing beds. The next progression could be to rehab. You have a wonderful rehab department out there.
Yeah,
Yes,
good
we
for
do.
you
Led by
mentioning
good
that.
old Tim Heitzig.
Yes, yeah. Good for you mentioning that, because it does a great job for a great number of people.
That's right. And so if you're in the hospital and then you go to the swing bed and you get your rehab, you'll have some of the same therapist. And then when you're discharged from that and ready to go home, you can continue working with the therapist through the rehab department.
And they're all very
So, you know, and
professional
everyone-
people out there.
The good thing is then everyone knows what's going on with you, and they, can all communicate with each other and share information. So you get
Exactly.
good continuity of care.
Well, once again, we've run out of time because we have such great guests. Angie Stoltzenburg, kind of a special friend of ours, and Roxanne Harley. How's the participation in Harley Davidson? You get into dividends?
I don't. I wish I did.
More
We always,
security.
ladies, Angie remembers, we always try to close with a quote or two about the subject, somewhat analogous to the subject matter of the morning. Anybody remember Dale Evans? You know who Dale Evans was?
She married my boyfriend.
I
Roy
met her
Rogers.
husband. I met Roy Rogers, shook his hand with this hand right here.
Did you?
And
Can
you're
I
still
touch
watching?
that hand, please?
And I saw, oh my gosh, though, now what's the name of the horse?
Trigger.
Saw Trigger. I mean, he was stuffed when I saw him, but I saw him. If Stu and Linda are listening, they know. We were in wherever that music
Let me check, Roxanne. Do you remember Dale Evans?
I do.
Do
Yes.
you?
Yes, I do.
God, I thought she was too young for that.
Happy trails to you.
Happy trails. All right. Apparently, she was a hospital patient one time, and this is what I got this off the internet, so I didn't just dream this up. Dale Evans said, I lay there in the bed at the hospital, and I said, well, let's see what I have left. I could see, I could speak, I could read, I could think. I simply tabulated all of these by blessings, and that gave me a new start. And that's what you girls are doing with the
Positive
patients at
attitude.
Abraham Lincoln Memorial Hospital. Thank you, Angie and Roxanne.
Thanks so
Thank
much
you.
for having us.
Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure.